You can understand a lesson today, close the tab, and feel like the idea has disappeared tomorrow. That does not automatically mean you are bad at learning. Often, the information is familiar when you see it, but difficult to find when you need it. Recognition and retrieval are not the same skill. That is why rereading can feel productive while producing weak memory. The page gives you the answer before your brain has to search for it. We will follow Ava, who is learning spreadsheet skills for work. She understands formulas during a tutorial, but cannot choose the right one the next day. This video gives you a 6-stage system for turning information into memory you can actually use. Question, retrieve, check, space, vary, and track. For practical learning, think of memory as having 2 challenges. First, the idea must be stored. Second, you must be able to find it without the lesson in front of you. The passive loop is simple: read, recognize, close, forget. It feels smooth because the material keeps supplying the cues. The active loop creates stronger access. Turn the idea into a question, retrieve an answer, check it, return later, and use it in a new situation. Stage 1 is turning information into questions. Notes describe what you saw. Questions create a reason to search your memory later. Ava changes a note called useful spreadsheet formulas into practical questions. Which formula fits this task? What information does it need? What result should it return? The question does not need to sound like an exam. It can ask you to explain, compare, choose, predict, or perform one small step. This matters because a vague page of notes gives you no clear starting point. A specific question tells your brain exactly what it must try to recover. Once you have a question, do not look at the answer immediately. The next stage is the part most learners skip. Stage 2 is retrieving before reviewing. Close the notes, pause the tutorial, and try to produce the answer with only the question in front of you. Ava opens a blank spreadsheet and asks herself which formula she would use. Even an incomplete answer is useful because it reveals what she can access alone. Struggling for a few seconds does not mean the method is failing. The struggle is information. It shows that the memory path is still weak. Recognition asks, does this look familiar? Retrieval asks, can I produce it without help? The second question is much closer to real performance. Retrieval shows the gap, but it does not automatically repair it. You still need a fast correction step. Stage 3 is checking and correcting immediately. Compare your answer with a reliable source while your attempt is still fresh. Ava marks 3 things: what she got right, what she missed, and what she misunderstood. She does not rewrite the entire lesson. Checking is not the same as judging yourself. A wrong answer is not a final score. It is a map showing where the next useful practice should go. Without correction, repeated retrieval can repeat the same confusion. With correction, every attempt becomes more precise than the last. One successful correction is not enough. The next question is when to return so the memory remains available later. Stage 4 is spacing the next attempts. Instead of repeating the same item many times in one sitting, return after time has passed. A simple starting schedule might be the next day, a few days later, 1 week later, and then 2 weeks later. Adjust the gaps based on difficulty. Ava practices choosing the formula on Monday, returns on Wednesday, solves a new version on Sunday, and checks again the following week. The goal is not to wait until everything is completely gone. The goal is to return when recall requires effort but is still possible. Spacing strengthens access over time, but memory can still become trapped inside one exact example, so the next stage changes the context. Stage 5 is changing the context and format. Use the same idea in a different problem, explain it in new words, or apply it without the original cues. Ava stops copying the tutorial spreadsheet. She receives a different table and must decide which tool fits, where the inputs belong, and how to check the result. Perfectly repeating one example can create confidence without flexibility. Real understanding appears when the surface changes, but the underlying idea still works. Changing the context exposes hidden dependence on wording, layout, or sequence. It helps the memory connect to the principle instead of one screenshot. Now you need a way to decide what deserves another repetition. That is the job of a weak point tracker. Stage 6 is tracking weak points instead of reviewing everything equally. Keep a short list of items that were slow, incomplete, or incorrect. Ava records one sentence after each practice. What confused me, what fixed it, and when I will test it again. Once a week, she spends 15 minutes retrieving the weak items, correcting them, and moving the stronger items farther into the future. This prevents easy material from consuming the same attention as difficult material. Your review becomes shorter because it follows evidence, not habit. The system is now complete. You are no longer hoping that exposure becomes memory. You are repeatedly practicing access. Here is the complete loop. Turn information into questions, retrieve before reviewing, check and correct, space the attempts, change the context, and track weak points. Start today with 1 page of notes. Turn it into 3 questions, answer them without looking, correct the gaps, and schedule the next attempt. For the bigger system behind this method, watch how to learn faster. You're learning in the wrong order next. It shows where memory practice fits inside skill building. Forgetting is not a command to reread forever. It is a signal to practice finding the idea, correcting it, and returning at the right time.